Hello.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Why are we frozen?
I don't know. But we're good.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a delay. All right, so good morning to you. If you are logging in and you see us talking, it is 8:15 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and my husband has me up to get on live.
Mm-hmm.
That's why my voice is deeper than usual.
Your voice always.
Go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah, so again, welcome to Ask My Aunts. My name is Ayize, my aunt. This is my lovely wife, Aiyana, my aunt. Today,
I'm sure that this feedback is coming out. People are not hearing all this feedback.
I don't know. Let me just see.
I delete and try to start again. Oh, somebody said good morning. Good morning. We're trying to figure out why so much feedback on this live stream.
Can you still hear us?
I have no idea. But you didn't get out. You didn't cancel this and start again. Do you hear feedback? Is really the question. Do you hear any feedback?
Hola.
All right, well, let's just keep it moving. Let's keep it moving with what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, let us know if y'all hear feedback.
Yeah, or if this is messed up. It's a little janky on our side. That ain't no real word, but we're gonna go with that today. Go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah, so today I want to this is gonna be kind of difficult with this audio situation. So today, y'all, what I wanted to talk about is really a question that I want you all to consider. You know, what type of legacy are you leaving for your children? And I'm asking this question because I think that it's important that we, as adults, we enter into a space, into adulthood, where we start to consider the impact that we have on our children. Now, when you think about legacy, one of the primary things that come up in mind is, of course, leaving a monetary legacy. I'm leaving some type of inheritance, some type of wealth that revolves around some type of financial means. But what I want to say is that when it comes to legacy, legacy is way more than that. It's way bigger than what you leave financially. What legacy consists of is, and really and truthfully, technically, I actually looked it up to see.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, to see what another alternative definition would be.
You want the official definition.
Yeah, and so outside of the money piece, legacy is something that's acquired without compensation. Again, legacy is something that's acquired without compensation. So again, when it comes to you and your children, what are you leaving outside of compensation? And so the important or the interesting thing about that particular definition is that it's something that's acquired. So whether or not you're intentional or not, it's going to be acquired by your children. And so what are you leaving them, and what are they acquiring that you may or may not be meaning to leave them? The things that I think about when it comes to especially this whole relationship dynamic piece is in terms of how they interact with somebody of the same sex or even the opposite sex. What type of relationship patterns are being established? What are they seeing in you, whether it be a healthy relationship, dysfunction in your relationship? What examples are you setting for them that they're going to acquire just based off of you being in the space that you're in right now?
Think about really what you've acquired from your own caretakers or guardians or parents when you were young. There's so many things that we receive and that we get not because our parents told us so, but because our parents were who they were. Because children don't do what you tell them. Children do as you do. And that is, whether we're talking about, like you said earlier, on finances, whether we're talking about, your philosophy about life. Of course, you grow up and you start to define your own way of seeing the world. But in many ways, the patterns of our parents are all up in our DNA. And when it comes to how we relate to other people and relationships, our ability to say, I love you, our ability to be vulnerable, our ability to have an open, a willing spirit, or our tendency to shut down, to be closed off, to isolate ourselves, how we, function and flow out in the world in terms of social situations. Much of that is impacted, created, or destroyed by how we do. So when there is an opportunity for your kid to engage, but you don't engage, if you don't do it, you may never say anything about doing it or not doing it, let's say in a program with a particular person with a certain opportunity. But if you don't show them anything, then they don't have anything to model it after, right? So they don't know how to go out and get hooked up because you never did it. And then you carry that on into your current day relationship, or they carry that on rather into their relationships. And they don't really always see it. They don't understand, like, why do I just not do this, or I do this, or whatever, So it's patterns.
Yeah, so really internalize it, y'all, because again, it's something that you're acquiring without compensation, something that's being handed down to you without you even being aware in a lot of instances. And so because it's being handed down, that's a relationship right there, the parent-child relationship dynamic. What are you learning from that dynamic that you're inheriting, that you're passing down to your children in terms of the way that you interact, the way that you engage with them? And so you want to be extremely mindful because, again, this is happening whether or not you want it or not. This is happening. You're leaving a legacy whether or not you intend to or not. It can be an emotional legacy. It could be a financial legacy. It could be a spiritual legacy. It could be a physical legacy. What are you leaving without even being aware of it? What are you leaving intentionally? And so, again, let's look on the area of like a physical legacy that you're leaving for your children. What are you ingesting? What are you putting into your body? What type of lessons are you teaching them about how to live their life, how to take care of their temple? That's a legacy that you're giving your children. Again, you might not think that it's really that deep, but again, they're acquiring lessons from you just based off of the way that you live. And so it's really important that you take this to heart because your actions matter. Your actions matter as it pertains to your children. And the way that I know that, and the way that you know that, is based off of the actions that you've seen your parents do or your guardians do, and how they've impacted you.
So today, we just wanted to put this out into the atmosphere because we wanted you to think about that word legacy and realize that oftentimes when we hear it, we think, oh, wow, this is something great. This is something wonderful. But there are all kinds of legacies.
Monetarily involved.
Yeah, or we think it's about money. But there's all kinds of legacies. There are all kinds of legacies, right? That can be transmitted to another, from one generation to another.
Not they can be, there will be.
There will be, that are always being handed down. That's right. So what kind of legacy are you leaving? And let's be real, y'all. Ain't every category in your life you just on point in. That's just not the truth. We all have areas that we need to improve upon, and every generation should do greater than the former generation. And if you look at your family dynamic and your history and the generations that came before you, honestly, or if you don't know some things, even that tells you something. If I look at the area, let's say, for example, of my health, right? And I look at, like what kind of issues or diseases or dysfunctions, physically did my parents and my parents' parents have, and how did they deal with that? And if you don't know much about that, then that's a legacy of not communicating, right? People not telling you. And so now you don't know. And so then what do? You don't communicate to your own children because you don't know and you can't give what you don't have. So there are all kinds of legacies being passed down. And today we just wanted to challenge you to think about the legacy that you're able to recreate, to start anew, right? And be more intentional about and be enlightened in as you live out your life. I just want to shout out 2 people. And those 2 people are sitting right here before you. Yeah, I'm about to toot my own horn. I'm about to toot my own horn. Because when we talk about legacy, my husband and I think we mentioned this in another video, y'all. We've been doing the daggone thing with our diet and really trying to pay more attention to our health. And that is always starting to transmit to my kids. I mean, I'm seeing like, oh, they getting out vegetables, chopping them up and fruit and stuff. And, we've always tried to have a well-rounded diet, but, we leaned in the direction of a lot of starches and sugar and, meat and that kind of thing. And we really are taking it to another level. And so much so that my husband here has lost 10 pounds. So whether you on live or whether you on later watching this, shout him out. Shout this black man out because he lost 10 pounds. The last time I checked, I'm not checking every day like him, but the last time I checked, I lost 5 pounds. So, that right there in and of itself is about choices. It's about us making a decision to do something different and to realize that we can stay in a place. And let me tell you something, don't get it twisted, because in general, I'm not a huge person. My husband's not a huge person, but your health, well, don't get me started on that, has really nothing to do with how you look. My family on my side has a history of heart disease, and my mother's mother died from heart disease. My biological father died from a heart attack. Blood pressure, is running sky high in the history of my family. That already came. That's a legacy that's been handed down to me and to many people, and particularly people of color, whether we're talking about diabetes or anything else, right? So we can get it twisted and not pay attention to how we can recreate and recharge and reboot some of these legacies, tweak them and make them better so that whatever we're dealing with, whatever hand we've been given, whatever is stacked against us, you don't have education, nobody set you up, they didn't send you to college, nobody educated you about your spiritual place in the world and how to access the creator so you can do what you need to do, whatever it is that you feel like, nobody really rapped to me about that. I don't have it, nobody ever gave it to me. And so now I have not been giving it either to myself and let alone my children. You can do differently because when we become an adult, when we become a grown-ass person, we now have the responsibility to create the life that we want. So think about your legacy. Think about your legacy. We talked about how it can be unintentional, funky legacy, but there's all kinds of beautiful legacy that you're leaving as well. I know it because in every situation there's strength and success, not just foulness and funkiness. So remember to pat yourself on the back when you're doing well. And at the end of the day, oh, somebody said congratulations, thank you. I know, right? Because we was trying slumming. We ain't from the DMV, we was messing up, man. We had to eat when let me not even go there. I want to tell you all the messed up stuff in terms of us and food, the food habits that we had. But yeah, I appreciate the kudos. I'm glad that these were great reminders today. Have an intentional day. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just think, I could tighten up over here. Let me figure out one step that I'm going to take to tighten up in whatever category you feel you need to. All right, y'all. We about to do what?
We're about to go exercise, y'all.
About to go exercise.
And I'm really not looking forward to it right now. I'm actually hungry.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and my belly was growling and that's another thing too, y'all. We're just doing this whole workout and more frequent eating. The metabolism is kicking in, y'all. And I actually feel it. Like my stomach is rumbling and growling and talking over here. And
so let me just say,
let me get in the kitchen and make this.
I'm about to hook you up, but let me just say this really quickly though. This is another quick little relationship lesson. In any relationship, you have to both lean into each other. There are going to be things that you don't really like or that you don't really care for. And if everything is always centered around you and what you want to do, or one person is leaning towards what you want all the time, and you don't lean back the other way, that's a problem, isn't that?
It is.
It is a problem. And the reason that he doesn't look that enthusiastic as he says that is because when it comes to doing anything physical, first of all, I'm the type of person I need to be in a class. Somebody need to tell me step one, step two, because I don't feel like just walking on no treadmill and or being outside in the hot heat. Yeah, call it what you want to call it. That's really not my flow. This one right here, he want to go hiking in the woods and do all this heavy stuff and be hurting and everything by the time you finish. And so I just want to lift up that he don't like my way. And I don't like his way, but I got more rings on my belt. I got more rings on my belt. Rings as in notches because I lean this brother's way. I go out in woods and be going on trails and go outside and walk in 90-degree heat because he want to get a sweat. You go outside in our neighborhood, ain't nobody outside. It's ghosts. Ain't no kids outside. You don't hear no birds chirping. You know what I'm saying? The bugs going under the ground. Everybody trying to stay cool. And he want to go outside. And let's go right now because it's supposed to be 94 at the highest day. And right now it's 93. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? That's how you want to go. So anyway, I'm just like, okay. I trudge after him and I do it because it's important to him. You know how you want somebody to be with you. Mm-hmm. This one right here, I constantly get no. So I'm just gonna call you out.
Because you're trying to get me to go to the gym. I'm not a gym type person.
But again,
I like to put in that road work.
Is this about what you want to do? I just want to say, like, it's still up in the air whether because he'll just try to be like, well, I don't want to go, and just won't even do it today.
I'm gonna go today.
I'm
gonna go. I'm telling y'all I'm gonna go, so y'all can ask the next time. And I see somebody asking, when are you going live again? And we may possibly go live on Monday. We're doing another free live webinar. You can go to rocksolidrelationships.com. Again, that's rocksolidrelationships.com to sign up. And then we may make that live on YouTube, but you'll definitely be able to see it if you go to rocksolidrelationships.com.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Somebody
syrup sandwiches, yes. Oh. I know it's not good, but the syrup sandwiches, they was good back in the day.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about it. I don't, but I hear people talk about them. I know about cheese. I had cheese sandwiches.
I had an affinity for what you had, the government cheese sandwich?
No, but I just had cheese sandwiches with some mayonnaise. Them joints
syrup sandwiches
was good. Point. You really had syrup sandwiches?
I did.
All right. Okay, Mike.
But Mike, he's trying to make a bigger point though. He's saying that he grew up in the projects, living and eating syrup sandwiches, drinking sugar and stuff.
Drinking sugar water. He's
sugar water. Oh, my bad. But his life changed and it's allowed him to make it better. So that's a good thing, Mike. That's definitely a good thing. But he craves it at the time. You still want that sugar sandwich?
It's a syrup sandwich.
Syrup sandwich.
Get it right.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Shonda. So I want to say this though. Anytime you make progress in any one area of your life, you start to feel more confident, and that competence starts to transfer to other areas of your life. So if you sometimes feel overwhelmed, as I know I often have, I know you have, in terms of whatever it is you're trying to do. For us, the whole diet thing and the weight and stuff that's packing on, little pounds just keep creeping up and that kind of thing. That was an overwhelming thing. But the more you focus in on what it is you want to do, just starting very slowly, the more confidence you feel. So, you can change. And Mike is a good example of that. He said, I know what it will lead to. I know what it will lead to. I know I will be in my grave early if I just keep eating whatever I want to eat and doing whatever I want to do. Because my history shows me that in terms of my particular family, but in terms of my great extended Black family, as a people, we got to do better. So,
and mine too. Looming over the horizon, in my family, it's Alzheimer's and
diabetes,
yeah, and that's not a good look, y'all. There are things dietarily that you can do to curb those possible things happening in the future. And it's scary, but I don't want to give those particular elements the power. I think that we have the power to be able to shift and transform how we live our lives so that we don't have to deal with it. And if we do have to deal with it, we can push it as far off as possible.
I think it can be eliminated. Mm-hmm. I just want to say they don't have to be about being pushed off.
I know about diabetes, but the Alzheimer's,
Well, there's lots of research even with Alzheimer's. Like simple stuff, like people have foil and aluminum, and they have that stuff in their blood. It's all kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. just all kind of stuff. So there's ways you can be proactive. Even Bill Clinton, y'all. I heard some of y'all probably know this. I heard yesterday on a show. I listen to a lot of politics and. He was talking about he was vegan, and somebody said, "You're vegan." I wouldn't think that you be vegan. You're a Southern boy. What's up with that? And he was like, well, I knew I could keep doing what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. He's like, but he had a quadruple bypass, something. Mm-hmm. He said, but I knew that I wanted to be around. And he looked at his history in terms of his family that came before him, and he made a decision that he was going to be vegan, which he said was totally ridiculous to his family. Like, we don't do that. But he did something different. So again, do something different. I'm glad y'all are on. We're going to be on live a lot more often. And next time, not next time, because next time would be Monday, but coming up very soon, we just want to do some Q&A and some discussion and some talking about different things based on what y'all want to talk about. So if you have some thoughts or you have some ideas for us, you can always hit us up at info, I-N-F-O, at the letter B, intentional.com. Again, info, I-N-F-O, at the letter B, intentional.com. Or you can message us right here on YouTube. We ain't that great with looking at our YouTube messages all the time. That's why I gave you the email address. But at the end of the day, I'm talking fast because we got to go. Don't get it twisted. None of this will happen because you just heard this. None of this will happen because you felt a little motivated. None of this will happen because you got a little bit inspired and you said, Dad, Mike is eating better. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, he's doing it. I can do it too. Ayize and Aiyana about to go exercise. I can do it. You know what? Their relationship is good. And guess what? My mother got divorced when I was 2, but I'm doing a daggone thing now, changing the trajectory as she also changed the trajectory later on in her life. So if they can do all of that, maybe I can do something, but it's not coming and it's not going to come. Because you saw this and because you heard something from a thought. It comes from action. Take action, take action, take action. And you can't do any of that if you don't. Stop playing. And start pushing.
All right, y'all.
Bye.